So we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, I have an agenda for you all. I'll pass that over. And then I believe our next date for our negotiations is June 28th at 4:30 at CCEA. Thank you. If you want to set another date, I was looking at the calendar ahead of tonight, and it has filled up with other negotiations, Teamsters and OCAP. So it looks like our next available date will not, because of the start of school and training and our team's obligations, next available date would be August 14th or 15th.
Okay, so you don't have anything at all in July. We had looked at July 17th,
July 17th.
which was about the only day in July that would work for us.
Yes, actually, we do have that date. Just want to check that with the team. 17th good with everybody?
I won't be here, but it's okay. I had
Are you
that's like
here?
my Monday.
PM. Yep, okay. Yeah, and I think John Antonacci is back from vacation.
So we
at
want
that
to
time,
schedule that, and it can be tentative. I mean, if something comes up that we
Yep,
can't.
yep. So let's tentatively set July 17th, 2023. This would be at 4:30 at the district.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to reserve another one just in case? August 14th or 15th?
And what days are those?
Monday, Tuesday.
Let's see, 14th, 15th.
Monday is the 14th, Tuesday is the 15th.
15 is fine.
15th work for everybody? Okay.
Just because as we get into the school year, you know, the calendars fill up. Just in case you need it. 4:30 p.m. then at CCEA.
Yes.
Okay. So on the agenda, I just wanted to, put in an account of everything that has been proposed and countered on the table. Just to reiterate, as of today, we still do not have a signed budget by the governor. I did look back last year. The governor signed the budget late in July, so just for everyone's awareness. It's a different year. He may sign it by July 1, but we do not have a signed budget by the governor. The district presented 9 different items. We had 2 district proposals, and we countered to just about every CCEA proposal except for the longevity, which we'll talk about. And then the union presented, obviously, they had items 1 through 4, and a counter to our beach volleyball, and then union proposal 8 and 7 at the end with the dual enrollment, some new ones there. So we have about 9 each on the table that could be responded to. I just want to clarify before we jump into union presentation. We have responded to all of the proposals except for longevity, because I understand that Esmond does not agree with ours, which I understand. Procedurally for negotiations, this is a back and forth. So when we put a proposal on the table or a counter proposal on the table, that's in good faith negotiation. So we would expect that there would be that behavior reciprocal to us. If there are questions about proposals on the table, certainly they can ask for clarification, but you do have the opportunity during any negotiation session to call a caucus. You have the ability to call a caucus, answer questions, or take feedback from your team, and then come back with a counter proposal or a new proposal on the table. That's kind of that back and forth. So You have the opportunity to withdraw, accept, amend, reject, whatever it is on the table. And I wanted to also correct, I know, Ms. Mapes, you and I had some dialogue at the last meeting, and I wanted to just clarify kind of a verbal typo that might have been during that discussion. And there is a lot on the table that you all have, and the numbers that you were throwing out, I didn't have my paper with me, but the 55 million that we quoted of everything that's on your, in your proposals that you have on the table, is inclusive of your request for longevity and the supplements. I inversed those numbers, so your calculation was very close. It's 3.763 million for the longevity, and the supplements that you're asking to increase to the base would increase 84% to 11.7 million, plus your $40 million salary proposal. So I just wanted to clarify that. That was not meant to deceive or deceit, but it was a lot of conversation about different, you have a lot of money on the table and a lot of proposals, so I just wanted to clarify that for all of you, okay? All right, so then I will turn it over to you all
Okay.
to get us started.
All right, first of all, we would like to thank you for having chairs set up so our people can have somewhere to sit. That was very kind, thank you. And we are aware of the process of negotiations and bargaining. We have 4 things for you tonight, but we are very disappointed that we still don't have a counter to our salary proposal. There's something called contingency. You could still present us with your salary proposal contingent upon the governor signing the budget. It's our understanding that you did present OCAP with something and the governor had not signed the budget. And we realize that we're more expensive than OCAP, but still there's that word contingency, that you could still bring a proposal and it could be contingent upon. Because to be honest with you, your salary proposal can guide some things that we're going to put on the table. So,
Understood, and we do have a plan, we have a proposal for you this evening.
okay, thank you. Okay, well, we have 4 things for you. We're going to start off with, let's see, the one on top is yours because it's with the red.
Okay.
With the red and with the holes. It's the little things in life. Mr. Lewis is going to talk about this one. And this one's a house, so I'll give this up.
Ready for me, Dan?
Yes.
All right. Our first proposal is Union Proposal 9 regarding instructional leadership supplement pay. And this is, this proposal concerns the employees are listed in Appendix C, which would include middle school department chairperson. There's some positions in the Everglades City School. The peer mentor teacher, building technology coordinator, district media specialist teacher leader, district foreign language teacher leader, quality assurance site monitor, and the district speech language pathologist. This proposal does not have a cost, or it doesn't cost the district anything. It's merely asking that those supplemental positions listed in Appendix C be paid starting with the first paycheck in October of each school year and spread equally over 18 paychecks. It is my understanding that that was at one time the past practice, and for reasons the district unilaterally changed the payment of those persons, which I think the largest group of that is probably peer mentors. And now we've got teacher mentors and related persons who begin the work of mentoring others well into the beginning of the fall. And they don't get their first paycheck until
January.
yeah, middle of January. So this would just honor their work and pay them as they go, rather than wait till January and then at the end of the year for those payments.
Like you said, that's always been done that way. It just changed this past year. And
Not this last year.
yes, it did.
Peer mentor.
It's been since COVID. It's been a couple years. And there are reasons for that, but we'll come back and explain the reasons for that change.
All right. Question?
Nope.
Okay. All right, the next thing we have here Mr. Jimmy down here has got a counter to the dual enrollment.
Madam Spokesperson, start.
Please.
Okay. So this is our counter proposal to your counter of our proposal 7 for dual enrollment. We certainly appreciate the fact that the district honors the work of teachers who teach concurrently on campus, and the fact that we were the only parties excluded from benefiting from the potential funding, et cetera, in this particular situation. And we understand how you would want to move your proposal into make it look like AP dual enrollment or AP ACE, et cetera, and those bonuses. However, we should note that you're requiring an A or a B grade in order to receive the same bonus as AP or ACE teachers would receive as a C grade, because a 3 or an E equivalates to a C grade. And also, we did not have the numbers at that particular time of how much dual enrollment takes in by the district. Almost $647,000, $646,841 is the number that you provided. And then our second bullet just ensures that the required outside trainings that occur from FSW or FGCU or any of the other entities, that we also get paid, or the teachers who do that work also get paid if it's outside of contract hours.
What trainings are you referring to?
So there are summer institute trainings. Now, a lot of times the trainings will take place during the day, during the school day, and we apply for temporary duty, and the principals are good about, at least that's been my experience. Principals release us to go to these particular things. But there are also things like compliance training, like Title IX compliance training that we have to do. Each department is a little bit different in terms of what kinds of other trainings. For example, everyone was required to do a syllabus training because we're bringing forth a new syllabus thing where all the professors have to implement their syllabus on a school-wide system, et cetera. And those trainings were either during the school day, which we couldn't attend because it was late in the week. Now they're scheduled for the summer, but it's going to be required for the fall. So it's not many instances where that occurs. We just want to make sure that when there are those outside requirements for the various colleges and universities that our people simply get paid as pursuant to the
Do you have
collective
any
bargaining
questions
agreement.
about it? No. Okay.
You okay? And, I'm sorry, the amount of increase was to $75. Our counter was 75.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, we have a third proposal. This is not a counter, this is a proposal. And this is for performing arts, and Mr. Sullivan will address this.
Ready?
Yes, anytime you are.
This proposal touches high school and middle school orchestra, chorus, and drama directors and music event coordinators for honors, chorus, orchestra, and band. The current supplement rate amounts to those art teachers giving away their rehearsal time. So basically, this proposal is for to include the pay for all of the rehearsals and practice time that they do. For example, annual district honors chorus teachers, they have expected mandatory events for the performing arts, and the dates vary by year. The event is usually 2 weeks long, consisting of 2 weeks of Tuesday, Thursday evening rehearsals from 6 to 8:30 at a selected school, and teachers must be present to be accountable for participating students, and teachers are also expected to lead sectional and run rehearsals during the Tuesday, Thursday evening rehearsals. And the last Friday of the 2-week event is the all-day rehearsal and concert. And teachers have temporary duty to attend the all-day rehearsal with the guest clinician, and teachers can use Friday evening concert as one of their events for supplemental pay, but teachers may not use rehearsals as events for supplemental pay, meaning that they are working for free. So this, we believe this stipend increase is necessary to include those rehearsals.
And these values are at the 43,760 that's currently in the contract?
They are.
These are rough estimates, but we estimate that this proposal would be something under $200,000. We're getting an estimate of around $167,000.
At the 43,760, so not changing the base.
Correct.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
Okay, and we have one last one to present tonight. This is union counter for Union 8. You countered, and we're countering back.
You're
for the-
recountering.
The recounter for the lunch monitor.
Got it.
Thank you. This proposal is a counteroffer, the district's counteroffer to Union Proposal 8 on lunch monitors. Our proposal increases the lunch monitor supplement from .0075 currently to .088. When teachers covered lunch under the current agreement, they
Just a
earn
moment.
$1.
Wait.
Just a moment. We gave you the wrong one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it says 44, not
Yeah,
88.
it should be
.088.
.088, not
Our copy.
0.44.
Ours says 0.
Our copies do not. his copy does, your copy does. The one
Yeah,
they
we
handed out.
printed the wrong one.
I give time to
Okay.
make that correction.
Sorry about that.
So, yeah, where it's got .044, just cross that out and put .088.
Yep, yeah, sorry about that, Ken.
Okay, that's all right. So when teachers covered lunch under the current agreement, they earn $1.82 per lunch. Under our counter proposal, teachers would earn $21.39 per lunch. So currently in the contract, .0075 times the base pay of $43,760, it would come to $328.20. If you divide that by 180, that would be equivalent to.
But you don't divide by 180 because it's per semester. So you'd only divide by the semester, which would be 94 days.
Okay, if I remember correctly, you said it was $10 per.
Mm-hmm. Per
$10.
period. Our
Okay.
proposal was $10 per lunch period.
Okay,
Because it's per semester, it's not for the whole year. You
Okay.
can't
It's a
divide it by
half year.
100, it's a half year.
It's a half year.
okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead and finish and
Okay.
we'll work out the numbers.
Sure.
Our proposal last week, we doubled it, so actually went to .088 times the base of $43,760, which would be equivalent to $3,850.88. Again, which would be equivalent over 180 days would be $21.39. So if we're doubling that, it would actually be more, correct? If we,
Yeah, it'd be like
yeah.
$7,000, which would be more than a band director gets for some certain activities, so.
When we went back and reviewed at the 1150 mark, you did say $10, but I don't remember you saying it. It
Yeah,
was
so currently it's $3, about $3.50 a period,
$3.58.
because it's divided by the so it's
And
per
that's
semester.
what we didn't know. We didn't know it was per semester.
Well,
so we
and the
were dividing
language
for the
has
year.
always been per semester, so we divided by the number of semester days in Q1 and Q2, which is 94. So
Yeah.
that's how we got the $10 per period.
Okay, so we just actually reviewed the video, and that's not what you said, but we'll
It's written in your own.
It is, it's in the proposal.
11.50. Okay,
Okay, so we need to look at that.
We need to work on
we'll work on it. We'll
Okay,
withdraw
do you want it
this.
back? Do you want
Yeah.
us to, you
Yeah,
want to
let's-
take it back?
let's work
on it.
Okay,
We'll withdraw.
we want to give it back. That's not a problem. The language as it is in the CBA says per semester. So that is paid by the school for the people who work first semester and then the people who work second semester. Because what I said is, most people don't want to give up their lunch for the entire year. That's why that supplement has always been a half and half. So for the 94 days, it was $10 per period, per lunch.
Are you saying all of the supplements that are listed in that appendix
No,
are,
no, I'm just talking about the lunch monitor one, the one you just put on the table.
where is that in the contract that it says per semester?
It's written right on there,
Semester or term.
and it's right out of your CBA. Okay?
We'll get that to you.
It's okay, you just amend it, bring it back. That's fine. We have time to take a look at it again.
Okay, and that's all we have for you today.
Okay, great. Well, before we get started, I'm gonna turn the floor to Mr. Brown, before we talk about our conservative salary proposal.
So I'm going to address some procedural concerns and comments made by both teams during the sessions today. Please know we're committed to moving this toward a reasonable and favorable resolution for CCEA, and that's what this is about. I went back and watched the video from the May 17th session because there was some very important information shared during that meeting, and based on what's transpired since then, we kind of feel like that information has missed the mark, so we're going to try and review it again in an effort to move the negotiations in a meaningful direction. During that meeting, Ms. Winrich reminded us that just 6 months ago, CCEA and the board ratified about a $16.5 million salary agreement. That represented a 9% increase for the unit. Just 2 weeks ago in the Pelican Post, CCEA President Mr. Mouton made these comments about that $16.5 million agreement from just 6 months ago. Quote, "We bargained the largest contract settlement CCEA has achieved in the past 20 years. Our team had the contract ratified and approved by the board within 2 weeks of the settlement. Our members saw the fruits of our labor in their paychecks before Christmas, end quote. He was understandably proud of that agreement, and given the speedy ratification, the members agreed. So back to the May 17th meeting. Ms. Winrich and Mr. Antonacci reminded us that as a practical matter, the district has significant financial obligations beyond just salaries. And those obligations are taken very seriously. It's one of the things that makes our district the best. Being debt-free in our capital budget, for example. Another example is we just found out either today or yesterday that the district's going to be required to increase contributions to FRS for all employees. Ms. Winders shared that the CCA proposals to date at 517, I think they still stand there, totaled over $55 million, or well over 3 times the amount you ratified just 6 months ago. Again, in the words of your president, that was a significant deal. She shared that the cost of the proposal CCA presented to date amounted to several $1 million more than the district's entire budget shortfall account. She informed CCA that the district needs to know the final budget from the governor before a salary proposal could be fully developed by the district. She encouraged CCA to reevaluate their initial salary proposal and bring back something more reasonable. That was effectively an unofficial counter proposal while the governor's final budget is pending. In response to this sincere and fact-based communication, CCA came to the last meeting, May 31st, expecting the district to present first and announced that CCA would not present anything further until the district presented the salary proposal. So the issue of $11 million around longevity, and Val mentioned this just a minute ago. I watched the video, Ms. Mapes, and she did in fact quote that figure by mistake, and I think acknowledged that tonight. However, the likely reason for that, I think, is critically important. And I believe, and I think others reasonably believe, that it can be attributed to the kind of shotgun approach that CCA has taken thus far. Think about all of this. $8,700 plus a step, longevity pay, directed substituted divided class pay, differentiated pay for instructional leadership, differentiated pay for losing planning, automatic step, raising the base pay for supplements, dual enrollment, plus the 4 proposals that you all presented tonight. Bottom line, it's very difficult to keep up with all the CCA proposals, let alone the volume and cost of each one independently. At the last meeting, the 31st, Mr. Lewis made some comments in response to a counter proposal the district made, I think around years of service credit. He coined a term that was new to me, intellectual dishonesty. He said the district was, quote, intellectually dishonest in making the counter proposal as it related to a CCA proposal around longevity. So in consideration of those comments and the bargaining process generally, think about this. 6 months ago, we settled on a $16.5 million agreement. 2 weeks ago, your own president boasted how great that deal was. And now 6 months later, CCA presents a $55 million deal to the table. And that deal includes multiple proposals targeting special interests within the CCA unit. And the district is the one that's intellectually dishonest. Realistic, yes. Dishonest, no. The shotgun and intellectually dishonest approaches ignore one of, if not the most critical component of these sessions. And Ms. Winrich mentioned that during the May 17th meeting. And that is board authority. She said we get an authority from the board that they are willing to spend that is comfortable for them. Board authority provides the district team strict parameters within which to operate. I strongly encourage CCA to conceptualize it as one pot of money for all CCA employees. With that in mind, it's important to understand that every proposal CCA makes theoretically, if not literally, when we tentatively agree on a proposal, draws from that one pot. For example, if raising the supplement base pay costs $12 million, that comes out of the pot and then inherently reduces what else can be done. If dual enrollment costs $250,000, that comes from the single pot and then inherently reduces what else can be done, and so on. In our view, this underscores the importance of making proposals that serve the entire unit. Just a comment about board authority in the context of grandfathered and performance salary schedules. I challenge every member of both teams to focus on the proposals that reach the greatest number of CCEA unit members. The fact is that over 70% of your entire unit is on the performance salary schedule, and that number can only grow. There are no more professional services contracts in this state, And last year, 69 CCEA members switched from grandfather to performance. I personally believe that we collectively, both teams, owe it to the CCEA unit and this process to pursue the most meaningful and impactful settlement we can achieve for the entire unit. If you simply follow the numbers in the law, the salary schedule is where that's accomplished. The district is not, and this is a shout out to Lyle in Montana, quote, hell-bent on a settlement that favors performance over the grandfathered scale. We are determined to prioritize the greatest financial impact possible for the greatest number of teachers possible and to follow the law. That's it. I hope you'll consider these things when you receive the information our team is prepared to share with you this evening and going forward.
We want to caucus for 5 minutes before we respond to that.
Okay.
That'll save us time.
All right. Okay. So we have a very conservative salary proposal on the table based on not having a signed agreement from the governor and multiple millions of dollars on the table from CCEA. So our proposal to start with this session is a counter to your salary proposal. We are offering employees on the grandfathered schedule as of July 1 of 2023, a one-step increment on the salary schedule, and an additional $750 on the base salary for the 23-24 school year for those with the effective rating of effective or highly effective on the grandfathered schedule. And then any employee on the grandfathered schedule that receives a final evaluation of effective or highly effective and is not eligible for a salary increment or step on the salary schedule because the salary schedule ends at Z will receive a one-time supplement of $750. Employees on the performance schedule as of July 1, 2023 shall receive an additional $1,500 on their base salary to bring the starting salary up to $51,500, to include those who hold advanced degrees and do not have a step placement or unique slot. Those that do have and eligible for the performance salary schedule shall receive a salary adjustment for the 23-24 school year retroactive to July 1 based on their 22-23 final evaluation rating as follows. Effective will receive 5 fractional, I'm sorry, those are reversed. It should be 2 fractional for effective and 5 for highly effective. Eligible employees on the performance salary schedule, because it is correct below, will receive the dollar value if they're on a unique step or and do not have a step or a unique slot, will receive 2 fractional steps, which equals $880. Highly effective will receive 5 fractional steps with $2,200. And then upon ratification of the collective bargaining agreement, all the appendices that include any kind of supplement will be computed at the base salary of $43,760. Oh, the copies are right. Mine is right. Mine is wrong. Okay. I was gonna say, I changed it, just making sure. Okay, thank you.
The peer mentor.
Are you providing us information?
Yes.
Okay.
I am. On 8/12/2021, iBriefing 12829 says that peer mentors were paid in an October 18th check and then continually for 18 checks. I was a peer mentor, that's how I was paid.
Okay.
What date is that?
8/12/2021. This year.
8/12?
Yes, because it was said it went back to COVID and it didn't. This was last year. iBriefing 13378 that was dated 9/1/2022 which was this year, moved them from the 18 checks down to getting it twice a year.
Okay.
All we're asking for is for the instructional people to go back to where it was before. Okay, that's all we're asking.
I know. Thank you. What was the date on the second one?
9/1/2022. So a lot of people found out that they weren't getting paid weekly until after they had already agreed to actually do the job.
Understood. Thank you.
That's all, yeah. Thank you.
Is that all the proposals you have for us?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, then we need to go caucus and
Okay.
we will return.
All right.
Is it okay to use the boardroom?
Absolutely. And you can just text me when you all are ready to come back to the table. All right. No, we'll go too.
Just since you like my hair, I'll go let her look at it some more. Okay, we have caucused, and we will address more of the issues at our next meeting. But for right now, I would like to say, this is a negotiation. You all want us to put our proposals on the table, so we did. You're welcome to counter any of them. But this is a negotiation, and we bring proposals to the table based on what our members tell us that they need, what they ask for, what they need, what they've worked for, what they deserve. So we're not going to be scolded for doing that, neither will we apologize that we did it. I mean, we're doing what we have to do for our members. And we have recently gotten some additional information that you might be very interested in, and Mr. Lewis will talk about that since he's the one that compiled it.
Can I ask about the package?
Please. Oh, yes, the salary package. What is the cost of that?
So just of this salary proposal,
That you
not
just-
not everything
just
else
what
on the
you gave
table.
us.
Yep, is 7.5% increase.
What is that dollar
And what,
amount?
yeah, what's that equate to in dollars?
I believe it's 11.7, but I'd have to check. I can send it to Esmond in an email.
When you do, please CC me on it.
Sure. $11.7. Thank you.
That's 11.7 million
Million.
total, or you,
Just for this.
Just for
Just
that.
for their
Correct.
salary.
7 million?
Yeah.
She's gonna double check.
I'm gonna double check it.
Okay.
That's going off my memory.
Yeah.
Okay, so of this is 11.7 based on the salary proposal, of this salary.
Correct. But not of any other financials that have been put on the table.
Okay, so if we
Exclusive of those.
subtract that, that would be the cost to the district? Okay.
Just at the outset of the information that we would like to present, I will say to the recent comment concerning the statements made by CCEA President Mouton in the Pelican Post, where he stated that we ratified the largest increase in 20 years, we would say, and still, it was not enough, and we would add that it was done so under duress. As everyone who is in this room and is aware of last year's negotiations, those negotiations were done at a record pace to be able to accomplish ratification before the new board took office, and considering the circumstances and the uncertainty concerning what would happen in the then upcoming elections. So while it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback after the fact when it's advantageous to do so, it is important to understand the context in which those negotiations happen. And most of this team, I believe, are the same people that we saw last year. We all understand why we made those decisions at that time. So I'll discuss the end of the year CCA bargaining survey. One word that we would like to proceed with these negotiations is fact-based. Our statements concerning, or my statements concerning intellectual dishonesty was not saying that the district's proposal on years of service was intellectually dishonest. The statement about intellectual dishonesty was the claim by the district or the inference by the district that the years of service proposal was the equivalent to longevity. They are two different things. And I would add, and I said last time, you could do both if you wanted to. So let's talk about the end of the year CCEA bargaining survey that was recently done by CCEA members. Just a brief bit of information about the results of the survey. And these results are ongoing, so the numbers are only going up. But at this point, based on the number of people who have answered the survey, in comparison to the size of the CCEA membership, the survey results are above a 95% confidence level, which is the gold standard for survey results, with a margin of error of barely 4%, and if another 30 or so people complete the survey, we will have a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. So that just to help you understand that the results that we're stating are not just the results of a few that can't be extrapolated to the entire group. So with that said, I'll share a bit of information from...
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So that's the same survey that you shared?
Separate.
It is a
With
different...
This is the end of year. That one was
The
from
survey that
January.
we shared before was the January bargaining survey, and we conducted one that was end of the year, and that would shape these discussions a little bit more relevantly.
Thank you for sharing. And can you tell me the number of employees that completed the survey independently?
500 at this point, or at least at the point that this was printed out, 537. And
4, 6, 7. Okay, good.
537, and that number is
Intently.
going to be growing because the survey's only been open for maybe
Okay, and
a
it's
little
a
less than
still
a week.
open survey?
Correct.
Okay. When does it close?
We haven't made that decision yet, but we're going to keep it open at the very least for another week because to accommodate people who are going on vacation,
Sure.
didn't get a chance to do it
Sure.
at the close of school. So from the survey, CCEA members were asked what amount increase on the salary schedule, not including a step, should CCEA settle for in contract negotiations for this upcoming year. The vast majority of CCEA members, well, I'll give you salary bands, but I'll say this, just the raw numbers from 3501, or so from more than 3,500, all the way up to above 8,500. So in the 3,501 to 5,000 band, 20.57% of people said that that's our number, somewhere between 3,501 and 5,000. Above that salary band, 5,001 to 7,500, 18.48% said that they wanted that number as the increase before the step. From 7,500 to 8,500, another 6.86%, and above 8,500, 20.95% of people. And then there were some others. But when you add up all of those numbers from above 3,500, you get a majority of the members are somewhere in that range of above 3,500 to beyond 8,501. Members were asked, are they currently working a supplementary position with the district? And about 41% of our members are working a supplementary position within the district. Members were asked if they're working a position outside of the district during the school year, and 30.41% of people were working a position outside of school but during the school year. Members were asked if they received an acceptable salary increase, would they continue working their current supplementary position? Of the about a third of those people who are taking a supplementary position said that they would not continue to work that supplementary position if they had an acceptable salary increase. Members were asked if they were dependent on a school-based supplement position to make ends meet, and 45.39% of those who have a supplemental position said that they are dependent on that supplement position to make ends meet. Big number. Members were asked, are they satisfied with their salary and supplemental pay since returning to school after the pandemic? 77.20% of teachers said that they are not satisfied with their salary and supplemental pay. Members were asked if their salary increase or this current negotiation for salary increase will determine whether or not they continue to teach in Collier County. 58.87% said yes, that these negotiations and the increase that they get will determine whether they continue to teach in Collier County. Members were asked if they are planning to leave CCPS or if they know someone who is planning to leave CCPS, and over 80% of our members said yes, they are. They either are or they know someone who is planning to leave CCPS. When asked about that previous question of what were the reasons for people leaving CCPS, 83.18% of persons responding said that salary and compensation were a reason for people leaving CCPS. Some of the other larger reasons were working conditions and being overloaded. That also got a majority of respondents, and then there were some others that I'm sure that would be more fruitful looking at a little bit closer. But salary, compensation, and working conditions and being overloaded were the two main reasons for people considering going elsewhere. Under the bargaining survey, 98.88% of the survey respondents said that they know right now, without anything more, that their instructional practice score is at least effective.
Good. Then they're looking at their observations. Woo-hoo, that's growth.
And it also bolsters the position of CCPS in one of our earlier proposals with regard to the automatic step.
Except for it violates statute, because it's not a final evaluation, but okay.
We
And
have a
that's-
disagreement on how that could, I think
That's a
that
matter
there
of
are ways to do
interpretation.
that without violating statute. Respondents were asked if they, sorry, take that back. I already said that. Respondents were asked what percentage of their gross monthly income goes towards housing. And this is a startling number. I believe the Department of Housing and other similar government entities and private entities that loan money to people for housing generally want the cost of housing to be under 30%, 30% or under. A majority of respondents pay more than 31% of their gross income towards housing. I'll give you the breakdown of those numbers. 31 to 40% of their gross income, that's 21.11% of respondents pay more than 30, or between 31 and 40% of their gross income towards housing, gross income. 25.19% of members pay more, between 41 and 50% of their gross income towards housing. And 34.4% of our members pay above 50% of their gross income towards housing. So we believe that these results are fair, tell the story of where CCPS employees are, teachers in particular, and we hope that when we are chided about asking for what our members require, that you understand that this is coming from our members and their needs are great. We're not asking for you to solve all the problems in the world, but we are asking for you to give teachers and other CCPS employees what is necessary to be able to allow them to live and work and contribute positively to CCPS through their work here.
Just as a practical matter, do you have the data, is it separated out by, in terms of who responded by contract type?
Yes.
So we can get that, is that?
Yes, we have, it's actually one of the earlier numbers that I didn't share. But yes, in terms of grandfather versus, we'll share it
Yeah,
with
that's
you.
fine, I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah, something like 27.66% of the respondents are under the grandfather salary schedule, 67.29 are under performance. There's about 5% that we're unsure. They are probably under performance and just don't know. I'm pretty sure if they're under
Pretty sure they're not
grandfather, they know that.
And then
Well, we
the,
do have people that ask on grandfathered whether they are getting a contract each year, so, just so you know.
Gotcha.
and then the date that the survey was initially distributed?
I'll let you know. Roughly a week ago.
It was like,
Maybe less than a week ago, because we have had some issues with sending messages from CCEA servers to the district. I don't know if there's a change in the district's email server, but there are a number of our emails that aren't going through because we released this maybe a week or two before, 2 weeks before school ended. But because of 2 attempts to send the link to the survey, along with other normal union emails, they didn't go through. So we ended up having to do this through personal emails, which we don't.
Typically, if that happens, we're notified. Lyle, it has happened in the past, because there's a certificate that expires on your end with your server from FEA.
Right.
So and it's typically on your end, so if you let us know, we most certainly can inform our technology department and have that fixed.
Please
If
do,
there is
because
a
I
need.
tried to send
But we don't know
emails
if you don't
today.
tell us.
Right. Well, we were unsure if it was on our end or if it was on the district's end, but there was an email that Pam sent today, or attempted to send through her district email to me, that bounced
It
back.
happens a lot with outside users and the accounts that they use, so you just need to let us know.
Somebody had sent me an email, and it was a CCPS employee that had sent it, and she sent it from the CCPS email. And so I forwarded it to Lyle, Esmond, and Ken, and her. I CC'd her, and because she had a question. And hers went through with no problem, but any FEA email would not, because I sent it on their FEA email, and it wouldn't go through.
And I believe that is the problem. Sometimes the certificate with the FEA has been the problem, so our tech works with your tech and they get it worked out.
Okay. So
So-
what do we need to do?
You just need to inform us when something doesn't go through.
Each one by one, or is it?
Yeah,
something that
because
we-
sometimes your certificate expires and that we don't know when it does. So you just need to let us know.
Okay.
It hasn't happened very often, but
Today's the first time it happened to me.
yeah.
it happened with them and their server told them that it was 100% sent,
Yeah.
but yet nobody got it.
Right. So yeah, you just need to let us know that.
Oh, yeah, with the insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't go through it.
Yep, you just need to let us know that.
Okay, and one additional comment I would like to make before we adjourn. First, does anybody have any questions about anything that they need to address before we end the meeting? Okay, well, I just have one comment. Well, actually two. Henry County Schools have already settled their contract, although the governor hasn't signed the budget. They've reached an agreement.
That's great for them. Do you know what they settled for?
I don't have the figures in front of me.
I don't have.
We've talked about so many different figures that I wouldn't want to
I believe
inaccurately
base
say.
salaries, I believe base salaries above 50,000, but I'll get the email.
Yeah, because we've looked at so many
We can
different
check.
figures.
We'll reach out to their person too.
But one thing that I would like to say in closing, you know, Andy, you talked about Ken's comments about how pleased we were with the package that we had gotten. It was the best package that we'd gotten in over 20 years and all that. Well, when you go back and look at the history of the money that teachers have gotten in Collier County over the past 20 years, although this might have been the largest that we have gotten in 20 years, still nothing to be proud of whenever you look at what it costs to live in Collier County. I mean, a lot of that, and this is my opinion, I'm not speaking for the team, but in my opinion, teachers not getting the raises that they needed over the years is how you guys are going to be debt-free in 2026. The money has not been put to teachers like it should have been.
So we'll just be really clear, being debt-free has not, and I know you've made the comment before that it's on the backs of teachers, that the money to be paying to be debt-free has nothing to do with operational funds that go to salaries. Two separate buckets. Capital cannot go to salaries.
I understand that.
And we don't take capital dollars, we don't take operational dollars and dump it into capital. We get a set amount of funds for capital, that capital funds, that's called fiscal responsibility.
And the
So
referendums that we have allows you to
the
put more
referendum
money into.
allows us to take money from capital to put it into operational, not the other way around. So the money that we're using out of capital through the referendum to come back to operations is to pay for the things that are needed to be paid. And that should be really clear, because moving forward, if this referendum is not passed in the next year, this will be very difficult for Collier County moving forward. Not just because it's difficult to live here, but we will not have the funds to continue the reoccurring costs that have been on the table for the last 10 years. And the part that I think we need to all keep in mind is that without that referendum, we will not be able to sustain our operational costs, which means teachers, non-instructional, and it means a lot of things. So that's something that I know Andy referenced, that we need to work towards getting that referendum. But that has nothing to do with being debt-free. I wish we'd take that out of the dialogue, because we don't take operational funds from teachers. We don't take them from our staff. We don't take operational funds and put them in capital to pay down debt. That is not happening in any way, shape, or form. What we do receive is we receive money from the state for salaries, for the TISA, for maintenance. And then everything else that you received on top of that last year, you received $16 million on top of, we've spent on top of what we receive from the government or from the state in regards to TISA. And so the district is putting its own money forward to be paying salaries for our staff. The other thing to consider is you look around all the surrounding counties, and although some of them have starting salaries at 50 plus, which are higher than ours, they have tax referendums that cause the taxpayers of that county, Charlotte being one of them, that's taxed. Ours is tax neutral. So they are paying whatever they're getting in their increase, they're going to be paying in taxes. So comparatively across the state, we have had continuous increases for teachers, maybe not to all of the liking over the years, but no less than 2.5% in the last, I want to say at least the last 8 years. Since our last impasse, I think that was in like 2010, I'll look it up.
2012, imposed
Yes.
salary freeze, 1% bonus.
Right. So there has been an increase every year, and not all districts in the southern area that we compete with can say that. So I'm not saying that what you're asking for is not a valid ask. We certainly want to pay our teachers, and I believe even the proposal, even the accolades that you gave with the highest, our last bargaining was the highest that it was, and I know that you were all fearful of the board. The board is behind paying teachers, just so you know. So that unprecedented fear that you may have felt is not there. The board wants to pay, but we also have to consider all costs. And it is not on the back of teachers that all these other things are being paid. I just want that to be very clear.
I want to say something. How much of an increase was the FTE funding this year compared to last year?
I'm not a finance person, so I couldn't tell you that.
You could have fooled me with all the numbers you roll out. But I want to look at the increase that we got in FTE funding and compare it to this package that you're giving us. I'm wondering, is that that increase, because most of the funding from that goes to teacher salaries, right?
No. And Ken, I can tell you, because I'm new in my position, I am learning all of this stuff and reading along with you with that, is there are certain dollars that are allocated for teacher raises, right? That number, I can tell you, that number last year with the state was $4 million a year ago. That $4 million for teacher raises that came into Collier County last year ended up being for our teacher unit approximately a $16 million package. So the district went into its own pockets, made adjustments in their operating expenses, and came up with the additional $12 million. All right? This year, and every year that number changes, right? So this year he puts in a couple more dollars, whatever it is. But you can't look at it as FTE increased by 5% from the state this year, and that's automatically for $5 for teacher raises. It all comes in categoricals. So there are certain requirements that we have to do. So if he gives us 5%, he says this 1% has to go to school safety, and it has to be done in the operational perspective. This 0.25% goes here for this perspective. We understand that he's never the governor, I'm referring to him, but we're never going to get the money that we need to pay the teachers. We're going to have to take that out of our budgets and make adjustments. So you really, the easiest way to say it is you can't look at whatever comes in. We got more money from the state. That means that all of that's for teacher salaries. It's not. Especially this year, because they reduced what they call categoricals and they lumped the money into a larger pool. They still have the requirements for school safety, right? But they did away with the categorical that aligns with that. So now it just comes out of the main budget, all right? So.
Yeah, I was just,
Yeah.
I looked at the video of Mr. Antonaki speaking at the school board meeting, and I was listening to the breakdown of everything that he presented, and I remember the number 16.8 million in salary increases. And then he talked about the connection with that, with FTE, and increased by 850 students. And then the district allocated 12.871 million more than provided by the TSAI growth allocation. So I just wanted to see what that percentage was, because we're talking about being fiscally responsible, and we're talking about, you said that it wasn't done off the teachers' backs. Well, the thing is that we look at right now, we look at all this interest income, and then we look at how the district has calculated in holding the money. At one point, they were paying teachers at the very beginning for the supplements, and now they've waited to like 6 months into the school year. So we look at that, we take that stuff personal. So we say, well, if you're gonna hold on to this money, you're not paying us, we got an issue. We got an issue, so change some things, They send out the, the I-briefing, and then there's a change. But we are watching carefully and listening carefully. And we are concerned, and we want people to take us serious and start budgeting for us. And we didn't hear that at the very beginning, at least in the first meeting.
So I just, well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to respond to your comment, and I understand the perception around a lot of this, and even kind of related to my primary role here at the district. But I missed the mark if you all think I'm scolding you or chiding you. That's not what that is about. What I was trying to emphasize, and it's critical compared in the context of what you just said about the FTE and where the funding is. We get an amount from the board that we can use for this. We don't have the authority to change that arbitrarily, regardless of what FTE happens. They factor all that into their decision making, and we are bound by that. And that's what I was trying to convey. I wish we could do everything you want. It's not possible. That's what I was trying to convey.
And I'll say one last thing, and I won't say anything else tonight. If that proposal that was presented tonight is what they ran on and truly believe in terms of boosting and increasing teacher salaries, is that the number you have in mind? Is that the number they gave you?
So, Ken, again, what we said, this is in negotiations, and we gave you an offer. We don't have a signed budget from the governor. We don't know what our final budget is. We don't know what the final fiscal impact is going to be to our budget. The FRS bill just got signed. It is going to increase the cost to the district. We have to calculate all of that. We gave you an initial conservative proposal.
Okay, so it's not the number, okay.
It is an initial conservative proposal.
I'm glad you clarified that, because what I was sitting here and going to say to you was, based on the proposal you gave us, it doesn't sound like the board or the superintendent wants to pay the teachers.
And that is not where we stand. I think there is we're not trying to be adversarial, and we're not trying to not support teachers. But when you look at the totality of the money that is on the table and the uncertainty that the district has behind its fiscal responsibility, we can't, like Andy said, we would love to fulfill a $55 million package. That is not the intent of the board nor the superintendent to say teachers don't deserve. But we also cannot go beyond, I mean, what you're asking for is well beyond even our strategic shortfall reserve. So we have to start somewhere, and we continue to work through this process to
And
get.
you need to think about, we're in that position too. We need to start somewhere. And if you think about last year when we came to the table and we asked for $3,000 to be added to the base pay, and we were slapped in the face with $300 on grandfather and $800 on pay for performance, we're not going there again. So we have to have a playing field also.
Absolutely. And negotiations is you put a proposal on the table and you make adjustments as you go along, taking into account the totality of
And
what
I'm
is
gonna
on the
make
table.
another comment, and I'm doing it without discussing it with the team, so if you find me beat up out in the parking lot, please help me. I mean,
We have cameras, we'll
we've
watch.
talked about it, but I have
Yeah.
not talked with them about telling this to you, but this seems like an appropriate time to do it, so. Don't you bully me. Something else, I mean, we listened to what you had to say whenever you came, and you told us, you know, that you wanted us to take a serious look at what we were asking for to put it on the salary schedule. And we understand the fact that when we put it on the salary schedule, it helps everybody. But we mean grandfathered and paid for performance. You know, we don't think people at the top need to be punished because you don't want to add a step. Eventually, that's going to do away with itself. But those people have a right to stay there if they want to. And these are the people that have been the most loyal to you. So, you know, you need to take care of these people. But we listened when you said, let's put it on the salary schedule. And we have had discussions about, you want to say? We've had discussions about the index, the base pay, the $43,760. That is something we're willing to back off on and do that incrementally because we discuss salary every year. That right there could save you $12 million. But with a salary proposal like you gave us, it ain't gonna happen. So think about it.
You have that opportunity to bring back a counter proposal to our salary.
Oh, and trust me, we will.
One bit of information about the survey. The survey initially went
You
out
just jumped
on.
over your membership.
No, Pam had recognized me before.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
The survey was initially sent out on May the 25th, but it didn't go through. We weren't able to get our first response until May 31st. So it's been open for roughly a week and a day.
Do you know what the subject line of that email was?
The one that didn't go through?
Yeah, because I can have them take a look.
It would have been CCEA update 5/25/23. May 25th, 23, but 5/25/23.
Okay.
And I think there was another one that was set on with the same heading, but 5/26/23 also.
Okay. Okay. We'll look
We
into it.
want to bring forth what makes the biggest difference for our people.
We understand. We're on the same page with that.
Kristen had a question.
I just have a question. So, in our May 8th meeting, when John Antonacci spoke about all the increases and the things that you were looking at in the upcoming fiscal year, he said that looking at a 15.53% increase in what the district absorbed for FRS, were you accurate? Is it at the 15.53%?
No.
Is it more? Is it
No,
less?
it's more.
It's more.
It's more.
Significantly more?
21%.
It's 21%. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and insurance came in up too, so.
It did?
Yeah.
Because that was at estimated 7.5%.
Yeah, it's higher. Well, I don't
You
know,
don't know
but
that?
John is on vacation and we'll get you some updated numbers.
Maybe next time we could, or you could send them when he gets back? Just
He
because I
can-
know a lot of these were projected and
Sure,
not
yep.
finalized.
Well, and a budget is always a
I
projection,
know.
not always an
I know.
actual.
And another question I have, but probably nobody here can answer it. I'll probably need to wait till John gets back.
That's okay, you can ask it and I can prepare him.
Okay. Whenever I go in and I look at numbers that FEA provides for us to see, and I know we have categoricals, and there'll be, there's certain things
Yep.
that money has to be
You
spent
bet.
for. But sometimes half of that money will be spent, or less than half, and the rest of it is paid for out of the general fund. And then there's that money. Why is all of it not used to pay for that and leave the general fund money? And that happens with many categoricals.
That's a great question, and I know in the past, actually before we started negotiations last year, we sat with Lyle and Jonathan, who was representing you all at the time, to go over because our budgets are transparent, they're out there, the FEFP is very clear, we walk them through. I'm sure John would be happy to do that again with your representative, or answer those questions for you. If you want to put that in an email to me, that would be great.
Okay, and we go to the FEA Summer Leadership Academy next week. So I'm doing bargaining again, and I'll get all those numbers again, so I'm going to have them to explain it again.
Absolutely.
Last year I was green, I didn't know what I didn't know, because I've never done this, but I know questions to ask this year.
The FEFP and the finance sheet, unless you're a financier, it can be somewhat daunting to understand. So you need someone who is a financier to walk you through that, certainly.
Oh, I have one of those.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
I have one of
I can't
those.
crunch the numbers, but I'm not.
Right. It's very different, so it'll explain what all those are. So,
Okay.
okay,
All right, anybody else have questions?
all right.
We're meeting.
See you on the 28th.
Gotta run 22. Gotta run while I can.
You looked at me.
No, I was just thinking, you guys gotta run
You better
while I
hurry, I
can.
might have another question here in a minute. Edmund?
Oh. Thank you.